Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here in Poland. I'm having a lot of fun so far. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your hard work, for all the volunteers and everyone who has been working and staying up all night. I know you were working very hard and drinking last night, too, to put on the best possible conference. And you had suggested that I give not a technical talk, but a more practical talk, because you had said that he wanted to mix it up a little bit. I could come here and I could talk about ASP.NET or talk about MVC, but you can probably get those videos online, and that would be fine. But what I wanted to talk about instead was the idea of scaling yourself, about being a more effective developer, about dealing with large amounts of information. So I brought that talk instead, and hopefully it'll be fun. Also, every good talk includes lots of pictures of cats. So I decided I would just bring all of them. So that's a 300 meg AVI of every cat picture that I could find. Just this way I would get them out of the way up front, and there would be no cat pictures any later on. That's really literally all of the pictures, except for this one, which is awesome. That's the best of all cat pictures. Now, I have been programming for an extremely long time, and I don't know, are there any old people here? Anyone? Old guy right there? I see an old guy. Yeah? Okay, cool. I've been programming since before this. So I'm very old, very old. This is a wig. And I blog a lot, and I blog about a lot of diverse things. I blog about an arcade machine for geeks. I've blogged about square foot gardening for programmers. I've blogged about Maslow's hierarchy of needs as it applies to software development. I've blogged about the importance of community and staying nice on the internet. I've created a couple of Windows applications, Windows phone apps. I've written a few books. Some are good, some are not so good. I've got a podcast. I've got another podcast. I've even got a video on how to be a presenter. I also work for Microsoft, but I work in open source, so it's better. Also, just a little bit of information. If you Google for Scott, or Google with Bing, for Scott, I am in a fight right now with the Scott toilet paper tissue. So we need to bring me up higher. So if there's anything that you can do to help out so we can defeat the evil, when you write your blog post about this talk, just make sure you include a link that says my name, it does not suck, and then just link to my blog. So I do all of this stuff, and people say, how do you do it? Why do you do it? Why won't you stop? And the answer is very simple, is I must dance. I can't stop. When I think about the enthusiasm and the excitement that we all have around technology, I think about this little guy right here and how happy he is to be doing what he does. And I try to give advice to people. I give advice on how they can be a more productive developer. But sometimes you have that friend who asks you for advice and then doesn't take your advice. This is the definition of what that is called. So this is what happens if I give you my advice and then you don't take it. We're going to call you an asshole. When you want to get something done, you usually ask someone. And this is a famous American actor named Paul Reiser. And he was not famous for a while, and he asked a very famous American actor named Peter Falk, who played a character called Columbo. And he said to this man, how do you write a movie script? So you can imagine this young actor is asking this older actor, I really want to write a movie. How do you do it? And this man, Peter Falk, is one of these kind of classic American actors with the gravelly voice. Well, let me tell you how to write a movie script. So he said to Paul Reiser, well, you get some paper, you put it in a typewriter, and you type fade in, and then keep typing. That was like the wisdom that he would bring this guy, and just keep typing. This is basically saying, just do it. Just shut up, Stop getting organized, stop maintaining to-do lists, just put the paper in the typewriter and don't stop typing. And I think that's a good motto for everything in your life. Sometimes when you feel like you can't write, just write anyway. Even if you write and you throw it away. If you're feeling that you don't have the magic anymore, you're having trouble writing code, just write code anyway, even if it's throwaway. Keep your hands moving. Keep your hands moving. If you want to scale yourself, though, you have to decide very carefully, what are the things I should be working on? So I've come up with this rule that the less that you do, the more of it you can do. Turns out that if you do nothing, you can do it infinitely. It's a pretty good quote. You like that quote? Let's make that a quote. Yeah. All right. In fact, there's computer science to back this up. This is a chart that shows writing to null. So here we're writing to null, and it scales forever. You can write as much as you want to null, and it works really well. But seriously, though, the amount of information in the world has changed. There was a time when you could know everything because all of the books that existed were in one place. And then as time goes on, things get more and more complicated. We go from stone books to just 100 plus. Google Reader, you can't possibly keep up. When I started developing in the 80s, these were the books. That was the sum total of all information that was available. There was no internet. There was these two books. And if you had a problem and it wasn't in these books, you were dead. There was nowhere to Google. There was no help. You were alone in your mom's basement with a pizza and these two books. But if you fast forward to today, you're in a situation where about a third of your workday is being interrupted, just wasted because people are interrupting you with things, whether it be email or Skype or chats or text messages. And the amount of information being created is more than you can possibly manage. But still, people think that they can keep up. I'm showing you these numbers because I need you to understand that you cannot stay current. You cannot keep up. And you can find the danger signs. You can see the danger signs when you start realizing that maybe I'm feeling like I'm a failure. I'm feeling like a phony. Did you know that if you go and you Google for phony, I'm on the first page? True. It's true. I am, in fact. You want me to prove it? I can do that. Am I a phony? I am absolutely a phony. Because what does that mean, a phony? This is one of the things that I thought was really, really important that I talked about when I talk about being a phony, and why I wrote this, the blog post about being a phony, is that we all feel sometimes like we're not good enough, and that's okay. Boom, look at that. Phony. Right below the dictionary definition of the word phony, there's me. Oh, you don't see that? Oh, sorry, brother. Better? I'm a phony in Polish, too. Look at that. I'm not joking, man. Sorry. Didn't know that PowerPoint was working like that. Let's try it again here. See it now? There we go. We're back. Sorry. So, yeah, if you search for phony, that's me. So I wrote this blog post about being a phony. And being a phony means that you are feeling like maybe I'm just not as good as the other person at work. Maybe that person is staying up too late, or they're working extra hard, or they can absorb information faster than I can. And the secret I'm having to tell you is that everyone feels like that. Everyone feels like that. I feel like that. I feel sometimes like one day my boss from Microsoft is going to call me and he's going to say, because you know this is how bosses talk, yeah, we've been talking about you, Scott, and it's things were said, and it's not working out. And then it's like breaking up with a girlfriend. It's not you, it's me, you know. And if you find yourself feeling like that, if you find yourself saying to yourself, I just need to work late to catch up, because it's a busy season. We always tell it's a very busy season. But when the busy season is 12 months of the entire year, when you work from 8 to 6, you go home, you make dinner, you put the kids to bed, and then you work from 10 to 2 in the morning. And I know you're all doing it, and you're not telling your friends, and you know that there's other friends that are doing it because you look on the corporate instant messaging program and you see the green dots at 2 or 3 in the morning, and you say, and you hate the yellow dots because they're asleep. But you say, I'm just going to work a little bit harder, and then I will be okay, and then my career will be okay. Well, here's the thing, my friends. Hope is not a strategy. Okay? Hoping it's going to get better is not going to make it better. So I'm going to talk about 2 words. I'm going to talk about 2 words. First one I'm going to talk about is effectiveness, what it means to be effective. And I'm going to juxtapose that. I'm going to compare that to another word called efficiency. These are 2 very similar words in English, so I've got some little definitions here to make sure we're clear. So to be effective means to do right things, to do correct things, to have a goal, be focused on that goal, and to do that. And that's different from efficiency. Efficiency is a process. Efficiency is doing things in an economical way, okay? So comparing the 2, let's look at it like this. Effectiveness is doing right things, while efficiency is doing things right. You see the difference? Effectiveness is picking the direction to run. Inefficiency is running as fast as you can in that direction. It doesn't matter. You're just focused on that direction, okay? So let's talk about effectiveness. Here's an example of being ineffective. So you have all this information coming into your life, and you need to make a decision about how you're going to deal with it, how you're going to be most effective. So this information is coming into your life, and it needs to be triaged. Triage is a French word, and I picked this word on purpose because it doesn't just mean to sort, to sift, to select. It means something very, very specific. We use the term triage to refer to sorting people who are injured. Okay? Let's zoom in. This is a toe tag here. So if you ever have a zombie apocalypse, then there's going to be a triage. So here's the toe tag. If you have a zombie apocalypse and all these people are in the streets and some are dead and some are not dead, what do? Do you take the first person and help them? No, you're going to figure out, well, who is hurt a little bit? Who is really, really hurt? Who's dead? Let's get them off the street. But isn't it interesting that in your email, an email from Steve Ballmer, and an email from your wife, and an email for Viagra, all sit next to each other in the same inbox, as if they are of equal importance. That needs to be triaged. Additionally, we have this information coming in, but we haven't really thought about where the work needs to be. There's 3 kinds of work. There's predefined work, work that you've set up ahead of time. That's work that you've planned to do, okay? There's work as it appears. This is work that's just showing up in your inbox or phone calls or texts. Just work appears. And the most important kind of work, he's doing that. That's cool. It's very smooth. I like that. I don't know. It's floating magically. I have no idea how it's happening. That is really creepy. And then there is the most important work, which is the act of defining work. Where do you think we spend most of our time? We spend it on, that would be correct. We spend it on working as it appears, because things pop up and then you just start doing them because it's very urgent. But what you should be doing is working on defining work. When was the last time that you shut down Outlook, shut down Gmail, sat down and thought about what work you should be doing? Not for 5 minutes, but for like an hour. Sit down, make an appointment with yourself, and decide what you should be working on. What is the most important thing? And when you try to figure out what the most important thing is, you can apply the 4 Ds. Are you going to do the thing? Are you going to drop it? And we're going to talk about the importance of dropping things. Are you going to delegate it, let someone else work on it, which is a really hard thing for us to do. Because we're programmer-type people, our personalities are such that we don't trust anyone else to do the work. So we're not good at delegating. But here's the trick, kids. Managers are good at delegating. So if you want to be a manager, first learn to let someone else do your work. Okay? This is from David Allen. Now, if I take this information from David Allen, who created a system called Getting Things Done, and we apply it to Stephen Covey's management style, if you're familiar with Stephen Covey, I've taken David Allen's and overlaid it on this graph. This is the importance axis, okay? Things that are more important or higher up. And then urgency. So something that is both urgent and important, you should probably do right now. Examples of that would be baby's coming. Baby's coming, let's do it right now. Things that are not important but urgent, maybe someone else can do. Things that are neither urgent nor important, actually, are down here. Where you need to be spending time are things that are very, very important, but the urgency hasn't happened yet. It's funny because procrastination is a way of setting yourself up to not do something until you have to do it. You're forcing yourself to do it by making it 3 in the morning the night that it's due. And that's the wrong way to do things. If we change this, you can see crises go up here, and trivia goes down here. And it's interesting because you guys spend a lot of time on Twitter. So let's talk a little bit about Twitter, because where do you think Twitter falls in the urgent and important? I love Twitter. You guys probably know. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I love Twitter. But does any work happen on Twitter? There is literally nothing useful that can ever come of Twitter that's going to get your job done. So you just have to accept that. This is a picture of a mouse with an electrode plugged directly into its brain, into the pleasure center of its brain. And they do these experiments where if the mouse just pulls that lever, it's going to stimulate the pleasure center of the brain. So then the mouse just has to pull to refresh that sense of good feeling, right? It's literally a drug. Pull to refresh. It's funny that you point that out. Yeah, just pull to refresh, and somehow then everything will be okay, and you'll feel better. If you have any confusion at all that Twitter is a drug, I hope that this makes it extremely clear. So how do you get things done? Well, you start by dropping things. If you took this in computer science, you took networking, you know that any good system has flow control. Systems that work drop packets. Even more than that, communication, as its nature, is fault tolerant. If you miss a phone call, they'll probably call back. Probably, depending on what the phone call was about. If it was about finalizing your divorce, then maybe they won't call back. But for the most part, communication is fault tolerant. You've all seen this with phone calls breaking up. Sometimes even when you're talking with some, and the point breaks up, and you understand them. You can still figure out what's being said. Sometimes dropping the ball is the right answer. And I have found, in my experience, that a boss will respect you more for saying, no, I am overwhelmed. I need to stop. I can't do this because I'm doing that. Or, hey, boss, I can do this or this. Which one would you like done well? You can have it good, fast, or cheap. Pick 2. Bosses will respect you for saying no, because here's the thing. If you are the person who answers email at 2 in the morning at your company, if you're the person who is answering a page in church on Sunday, if you are the person who is available 24 hours a day, and you even put it on your email signature, and we all know this person at work who has, I'm always available, call me at these numbers and this number, you can Skype me here, you can use Viber here, you can text me here, I am always available, let me know if I can help you. Then you are sending the message, you are teaching your boss how to treat you. You're telling them that you are the person that will be called at 2 in the morning. You're saying, please, my personal time is meaningless. My family is not important to me. Call me anytime. Drop the ball. Let it go sometimes, unless you're this guy, and then don't drop the ball. And totally unrelated, this is awesome. This is a guy surfboarding on an alligator. Totally just completely random, but it was awesome. Now, do you have the TV systems here where you can set something to record and it records on a hard drive? It's like, what do we call it, a TiVo? What do you call it? It's a DVR or a digital recorder? Okay. So when this came out in America, we thought this was a gift from God, that he came down from here are the 10 Commandments, and then he went back, and then he brought the TiVo. And he said, you can record Law and Order. Do you have Law and Order? Do you have a Law and Order show? What's an American show here that you have? Do you have CSI? Dexter! I actually have Dexter taped on my... That's a little disturbing that Dexter is the first show that comes out of here. Yes, I like Dexter a lot. When the DVR came out, it was an amazing gift because I felt it was giving me time. This is amazing. I don't have to be there to watch Dexter. I can say, record. And then I will have like the Dexter channel. I'll have all the Dexters in one place. And then as time went on, my list of unwatched shows got longer. And my DVR went from being a gift to being a to-do. And my wife and I don't know if you've had these discussions with your spouse, but it's like, okay, if we put the kids to bed early, we can watch all 7 episodes of Dexter tonight. We'll skip the commercials, we'll go, we can watch 7, and then we'll be caught up. And the DVR was pressing on us like it was the psychic weight of these unwatched shows were stressing us out. And we had to ask ourselves, is that what we need to be doing? We like that TV, but we're stressed out. How do we get the things done? Well, what we started doing is we started considering the rule of 3. And this is a really good rule of thumb. Write down 3 outcomes that you really want to get done in a single day when you wake up in the morning. Don't look at the crushing to-do list of stuff you're not going to get done. That's a guilt system. Just pick 3. Try this. I'm totally serious. Pick 3 things you're going to get done today and try to get those 3 things done. And then look back on your day and say, I did a great job. I got those 3 things done. And then expand your scope a little bit. What are the 3 things I want to get done this week? 3 things I might want to get done this day are like, get the product to build and add some unit tests and set up continuous integration. And for the year, it might be make my business larger or get a new office or some larger scope. But 3 is a great number. It's a very comfortable number. And if you use these bite-sized chunks, the day, the week, the year, then on Monday, you sit down for your week and you say, what is the vision for my week? Literally think about what a really great week would look like. A week that wouldn't make you feel guilty. And this guilt and this phoniness thing is an important theme because I know what it feels like to get to work, start checking email, and then you checked email and it's 2 in the afternoon and you've done nothing but do email, and then you start getting, okay, I'm starting to get my flow, I'm doing my email, and then I'm close email, I'm start doing code, it's 3 in the afternoon, I gotta go home soon, and then I gotta go home soon, and then I've only done like 2 hours of coding, so then I'm feeling guilty and sad, and I've wasted the company's time, so then I'll put the kids to bed, and then I'll try to code at night. We're paid to code, and we do more of it at night. Think about your Monday and what you would like to get done, and then on Friday, look back on your week, and reflect on your week, and think, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? Because here's another little thing for you. Being super busy, especially bosses that are just so busy. I'm really very busy, I'm very important, I'm very busy, and I'm very important. Being busy is a kind of laziness because it's showing that you're not focused enough to decide what to be working on, so you're going to work on everything. It's indiscriminate action. What is indiscriminate? That means acting without thinking. I would much rather have someone who is focused and doing an amazing job on one thing for 8 hours than someone who thinks I'm impressed with their ability to multitask and juggle at the same time while standing on one foot. Now here's another one for you. Being creative and making something is the opposite of hanging out. So when you're hanging out, when you're on Twitter, when you're just chilling, when you're doing your email, whatever you're doing, I don't know what it is, but it is absolutely the opposite of being creative. So you got to start dropping things. Think about that. Someone is wrong on the internet. I need to stay up late to fix it. The most healthy thing you can do there is let it go. Let it go. Scale yourself. So once you're decided the things that you want to do, you can be more efficient. So what I want you to do is do some homework for me. This is homework for later. Take the data streams, the things in your life that are streaming into your life, not just email, but Facebook and Google and Skype and chats and physical paper and tickets and bills and all that stuff. And I want you to sort them. Sort them with signal versus noise. The noisy things that don't matter and the signal that really matters to you, the things that you care about. Sort them. Here's my sorted list. This is my personal list. Your list will be different. Because I'm a community manager, the phone, and by phone I mean phone, Skype, text, I'm always talking to the community. I've Skyped with some of you guys before. I think that face-to-face communication is important, so I am doing a lot of video calls. Those are important. What's not important? Sadly, it's Google Reader and TiVo. Those are just guilt systems. But notice this here. This is another important one here. Work email. I've split that out because I think that the inbox where everything is a peer, where everything is equal, is a mistake. So I really recommend that people use email rules and filters. Unfortunately, people take this too far and they create 1,000 different rules and they do it in Gmail and do it everywhere and they sort these things and they go and then you realize that your job at work is just deleting email and moving emails into folders and you're never going to see those emails again. You're never going to do them. So this is the email rule that I use. One email rule to rule them all. I have an inbox. And I have an inbox where I am CC'd. This is so important, and I think we should try to make this like a worldwide thing. If you CC me on something, that doesn't mean that you needed me to do it. It means you're letting me know, you're informing me. If it comes to me directly, that means it was for me directly and it was important. So look at this here. I've taken over 240 emails and I've split them up. Which ones are the most important? Inbox. But notice that inbox external is there. I'm a community manager. So people email me from inside Microsoft, they email me from outside Microsoft. How many emails are in the external folder? 0. Why? That shows you what I prioritize. Emails from you guys. You think about that? There's nothing in there. If there were 80 emails in inbox external, that would show you that I clearly don't prioritize the community, which is my job. I also have a separate folder. This is a search folder. These are special. It's not like an actual folder. It's a view on my email. And I call it Bosses 3 Up. I made a special rule that said any message from a boss that shows up anywhere, 3 bosses up. All, Scott Goo, Scott Hunter, other Scott, some other guy named Scott, all the Scotts, all the way up, they will show up there, just so I don't miss them. And then I have one called Big Ass Mail, that in case I don't want to fill up my mailbox. Sometimes someone sends a screenshot of their multiple monitors set up as a bitmap. I want to delete that. So you make these two here. That's what's important. So what this means is that you're going to train your boss that if he CCs you on something, it's an informational thing. The very first time your boss sends you something and CCs you and asks you to do it, don't. It'll only happen once. Why didn't you do that thing? I CC'd you. Oh, I thought you were just informing me. If you need me to do something, send it to me directly. Okay, cool, problem solved. This means that I can focus on the things that are important, that I was actually mailed to, and then those I can look at every couple of days. I literally only look in the CC folder every day or two. It is completely freeing, and it cut my email by 2/3. Now, here's the next big challenge for you, because if we're going to do some crazy stuff, let's just go all the way, shall we? Don't check email in the morning. Checking email in the morning is how you time travel to the afternoon. Let's get into work. I've got my coffee here. Let's go ahead and get our day started and fire up email. Whoa, it's 2 in the afternoon. What just happened? You checked email at 9. Was email one of the 3 things you needed to get done today? No. So do the 3 things that you needed to get done today. Schedule time for email. You schedule time for meetings you don't want to go to. Why don't you schedule time for email? I literally put on my calendar 1 hour, check email. And I time box it. Time box it. Very important. Time boxing is important. Put the time in a box, do the work, and then be done. We let email tell us what to do. We should be doing that ourselves. Now, if you respond to email, they will respond back. So the number one way to get more email is send more email. It's okay sometimes to not answer an email. You just have to ask yourself, what's important? Don't answer every single one. Because you're basically saying, and if you disagree with me, that's fine, but you're saying, no, Scott, I can answer every single email, and I will do it at 2 in the morning. Well, you're just on a treadmill, running as fast as you can, and you're teaching people how to treat you. Anyone here a consultant, independent consultant, doing contracting work? Rob's one, a couple people. If a client emails you at 2 in the afternoon on a Sunday, even if you're in front of your computer and you reply to them, you just taught that client that you're the guy that will answer stuff at 2 on a Sunday, and next Sunday when they email you and you don't answer, they'll be mad at you. So there's tools you can use, like one is called Boomerang for Gmail, or you can also in Outlook, when you hit send, you know that there's an options folder that says the time you want it sent? So even if you are working on a Sunday, tell the email that you want it sent at 9 a.m. on Monday. And it'll just sit in your outbox. Totally serious. Because then your boss knows, I don't work on Sundays. I tweeted something a couple of days ago, and a bunch of people yelled at me because they said that I was stereotyping Europeans. Why would we do that? It's not like we stereotype Americans, do we? We don't stereotype America. No stereotypes at all. So I'm at the Warsaw airport, and this guy is there, and he's sitting with his wife, and the phone rings. And I can hear him, someone is upset. And you know what the guy says? No. No, stop. I don't care. I'm on holidays. I will be back on the 12th. Goodbye. Click. Now, no one else was doing that, but I was looking around to see if the other people were as amazed by it. And they went on with their lives. No one else thought that was amazing. And I was like, that's awesome. Man, Europeans know how to break. You know what I mean? He was chilling. He was just like, no, I'm on holiday, sorry. Americans can't. Yes, sir. Oh, well, yes, sir. I'm at Disneyland. Yeah, I can leave Disneyland. That's okay. I will. Let me see if I can FTP into that right now, sir. Don't put energy into things that you don't want more of. If you like that feeling, then that is how you're going to get that feeling. That's called urgency addiction. There's a difference between being an important person at work, and being the one who is addicted to the urgency of work. There's always something going on at work. If you want to be addicted to urgency, there's always something going on at work. Now, let's talk about scaling yourself here. Conserve your keystrokes. How do you conserve your keystrokes? Check this out. If you email me, sir, and you say, oh, Mr. Scott, I need you to send me the code, right? Help me. I'm graduating with my master's tomorrow, and I need you to write the program and mail it to me. If I write you 5 pages and include the code, okay, I just gave him the gift of thousands of my keystrokes that are in my fingers. But there is a limited number of keystrokes left in my hands before I die. And I will never get those keystrokes back. I don't know you. You seem like a very lovely gentleman. But how do I make my keystrokes meaningful while also helping him? Any suggestions? Where do I put my keystrokes? Google? No. No. I blog them. And then I send him a link. I put them in documentation, and I send him a link. I put them on SharePoint or a wiki or in the product documentation. I put them effectively anywhere but email. Email is where your keystrokes go to die. No actual work happens on email. This is work. We're talking now. This is where work happens. Email should be used for the meeting that we set up, and then we go out to lunch and we have work. Email is for setting things up. But if you're using email as a chat client, email is not IRC. If you're writing more than a few sentences in an email, you're just wasting your keystrokes and you're wasting your time. Especially if you're emailing the person in the next cubicle. So I recommend that you limit the number of sentences that you put on an email. This is a really cool website. It's actually in Spain. It says 5sentences.es. And it says, this is a policy that all email will be less than 5 sentences. You just can put it in your signature. And it's a way of saying, this is a very short email because I'm trying not to waste time. Sometimes people think this is too much. You're lying, Scott. This is too intense. How can we survive on only 5 sentences? Fine. 3 sentences. Pick the number that makes you happy. It doesn't matter. The point is, limit your email because you're wasting your keystrokes. Think about all the long-winded emails that you are writing and your coworkers are writing to answer questions. Put that knowledge somewhere that it has a link. Work, documentation, wikis, knowledge bases, anywhere but email. Okay? Also, there's physical things that you get. So you need to find a trusted source and put things in that trusted source. For any one medium, and by medium, a medium could be physical stuff or emails or chats or pictures or whatever. Pick a location for that medium. So like, you don't want to set up a complicated system where there's 15 different places to look. Put all your stuff in Evernote or put all your stuff in OneNote. I don't care, but put it in one place. That when I talked about email before, notice how there was no folder hierarchy for mailing lists and stuff? There's just another folder called All Mail, and I can search it. Complicated hierarchies are too complicated. Just for each thing in your life, have a trusted source. I put all my presentations in Dropbox. I put all my code somewhere in a source control system. I put all my email in Outlook and Gmail, and all of my notes in OneNote. The point there is that you want to find a place, doesn't matter where you put it, pick the one that makes you happy. You put it somewhere where you can find it and you can trust it. Because trusting is so important. You need to be able to put it there so that it is released from your brain and that the weight, remember the psychic weight, isn't on you anymore. You know when you're writing code and you're like, okay, don't forget to get milk. I need to buy milk on the way home. Writing code. What am I supposed to get? Milk, right. Okay, milk. You're telling yourself that you're multitasking, but you're not because there's a thing that's weighing on you. Put that thing somewhere. Doesn't matter if it's todo.txt. Doesn't matter. But you need to be able to put it somewhere where it is fully released and it will remind you again. If it's Siri or if it's a OneNote or a Google Calendar, don't care. The goal being to focus on one thing. Isn't it funny how the project manager at your work probably is the person who has the most emails? They're probably the one with thousands of emails. You've seen it because you've looked over her shoulder one time. You said, you have like 6,000 emails. What is wrong with you? And what does she say? Well, I know where everything is. Well, she would know where it was if it wasn't in her inbox. It would be in a folder that's called Not My Inbox. Your inbox is for processing. If it's in your inbox, it hasn't been thought about yet. It's not a storage location. This is the person in your life who's doing your scrums, right? Your project manager's doing your scrums. But they can't manage their own lives. That's not good. You should talk to her or him. What you could consider doing is scheduling your own sprints. Your project has sprints, right? You sprint for a week. And at the end of the week, you talk about the sprint. Why don't you schedule work sprints? Little short sprints where I'm going to go and sprint for 2 hours. Now, there's an important thing about sprinting. When you sprint, do you think about anything else other than sprinting? Very important point. Do you guys know who Usain Bolt is? World's fastest man? Have you ever seen him texting while sprinting? Doesn't happen. I saw a guy riding a bicycle down the street over here. He was texting. That was extremely impressive. But we don't schedule these sprints. What do? This is what it looks like when we're having our projects. There's a great technique for sprinting that's called the Pomodoro technique. You guys familiar with this? Any Pomodoro people up here? Oh, this is beautiful. I love my Pomodoro people. Do you have your official Ooh. And then he brought out his tomato. A pomodoro, it's Italian for tomato, and this is just a little timer. You can use an egg timer or any tea timer, it doesn't matter. A pomodoro is a unit of time. Don't think of it as a funny timer. Think of it as a unit of time. One pomodoro is 25 minutes. 25 minutes, not 30, because you need that 5-minute break at the end. 25 minutes. The trick with the Pomodoro technique, if you've never done one before, is you sit down and you set your timer and you focus on one thing for 25 minutes, which sounds easy. Turns out it's the hardest thing you'll ever do because you're vibrating with other things that are weighing down on you, and you're going to alt tab to other stuff, and you're going to switch, and then the solitaire is going to open up, and you're going to be tweeting, and you're like, what, this hand is tweeting, I don't even know. This hand wants to code, but that one wants to tweet. What you need to do is you need to observe the times that you interrupt yourself. Okay? There are two kinds of interruptions. There are internal interruptions. These are the ones where you alt-tab, or you, get milk. So I just interrupted myself, I got to get some milk. Those are internal interruptions. I really got to play solitaire. That's, I'm really, really good at solitaire, though. So that's cool. And I don't know what that is. And these toasters on bagels dancing. And the second one is external interruptions. You want to think about those interruptions in your life. Be aware of them. So if an internal or external interruption happens, what you do is you're doing your work, and you just have a sheet of paper, and you just put a tick. I was interrupted. Work. Oh, I just interrupted myself again. And then at the end of the Pomodoro, at 25 minutes, you look at that and you go, I interrupted myself 6 times in 25 minutes. I'm going to do another Pomodoro. Take a 5-minute break, go back, work. I only interrupted myself 3 times that time. And then once, and you want to improve your focus. Now, external interruptions are more difficult, though. External interruptions, you don't know what's happening, and suddenly just boom, you've been interrupted, and you don't know what's going on. You have to say, I'm in the middle of a sprint, I'll be done in 25 minutes. And unless the server farm is on fire, that's okay. Your boss will respect you. I'm sorry, boss, I'm making money for the company right now. Did you need me to reboot your computer for you? No? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create value for our business right now. Is that it? The point here is to embrace flow. And if you go out and search for the Pomodoro technique, you can get the free book on the topic, okay? It's a great technique. Because you want to stay engrossed and excited about the thing you're excited about, the way that children do. Kids are so excited about stuff, they just focus and they just draw. I'm doing my coloring right now, and I don't want to be, don't bother me, I'm coloring. But we don't do that. We want to be interrupted. But what happens is if you're interrupting yourself all the time, at the end of the day, you know what you're going to feel like? Man, I did not do anything today. I don't know what happened. Well, maybe it was because you were dealing with all those interruptions. Anything important will come your way many times. If there's another 9/11, someone will tell you. Someone will say, hey, there's another 9/11. Wow, crazy, that sucks. You're not going to discover that from sitting on the CNN.com homepage and hitting refresh. Has anything happened yet? Refresh. Try to be captured, be wrapped up in that thing that has captured your attention. I want you guys to be single taskers, not multitaskers. This guy thinks that multitasking is the best way to do things. Well, in computer science, you probably have heard that the optimal number of threads in any system is 1. Because what is the system doing when it's not doing work? It's context switching. And is context switching free? No. You know when you're working, and like your mom calls, Mom, I'm at work. I don't know if you guys sound like that when your mom calls, but Mom. Okay, what was I doing? Oh, right, I was writing code. What am I working on? That's a context switch. She just burned 2 minutes. Well, that may sound silly, but that adds up. And then that 2 minutes turns into an hour. And then an 8-hour day becomes a 7-hour day. So if you burn an hour every single day context switching, how many hours is that a week? That's 5 hours a week. That's 20 hours a month. 20 hours is a half a week. Think about that. We just did the math. You could burn a half of a work week just on context switching. Single tasking is how you get stuff done. Here's an example of extremely poor multitasking. I want you to watch very carefully here. Now watch the arm. Watch. Wait for it. Oh yeah. In America, we have a word for people like this. Organ donor. Multitasking is unsafe. Best way to avoid texting while in the car? Put your phone in the boot. Put it in the trunk. You can still Bluetooth. But if you have a bad habit, and I've had that habit myself, something important could have happened in the last 10 minutes. I have to know. If you're pulled to refreshing in your car, you're going to die. Maybe not now, but it's going to happen. So put your phone in the trunk. So what are some things that you could do? Well, you can walk and chew gum. That's very good multitasking. One of the things that I like, though, is working out, which none of us likes to do, except for my buddy over here. There you are. How's it going? I met this gentleman. He's got really good arms, and I wanted to ask him yesterday how he did it, and I was too embarrassed to ask. So the way that I work out is I work out and listen to podcasts, and I work out and I watch TV. Because remember before I talked about TiVo? I love television. Like, I unapologetically love television. And I know that there are people who are like, oh, I don't even have a television. I only read very old hardback books. No, man, Dexter. When I get home tonight, I am so watching the first episode of Dexter. But that's not good use of my time. But if I work out while I'm doing that, that's real multitasking. I can run on the treadmill and watch Dexter. I can do push-ups and I can watch Dexter. I can watch as much, this is my rule, I can watch as much TV as I want, as long as I can keep moving. And when I collapse in exhaustion, I have to turn off the television set. That's real, feasible multitasking. The more TV I watch, the better shape I get in. What a great deal. And what's the only thing preventing someone from doing that is the willpower. Sometimes when people see a person who's very fit, he's wasting all his time in a gym. I think that's a person with willpower. They made a decision and they followed through. I wish I had that kind of willpower. I've been sucking it in the whole time I've been up here. You can commute and you can read. You can utilize idle waiting time. You can be doing when you're waiting in line, you can be doing things with your phone. You can drive and listen to podcasts. That's a great use of time. Don't set up a system, though, where you can't succeed. Don't set up a guilt system. We all have this pile of books, don't we? It's the pile of books that you're going to read this week. The problem is it's a year old. I'm never going to read The Ruby Way, but I keep moving it up and down the pile of guilt. Okay, well, maybe I'll just read the top 3. I'll rearrange it, and I'll put those at the top. It's a monolith. It's a monument to my own failure. So I took half of those books, and I put them on the shelf. And I decided I will actually read these this week. But when am I going to read them? I'm so busy. Well, I make appointments to check email, and I make appointments to go to meetings that I don't want to go to. I made appointments to read. Absolutely, I made an appointment to read. And if I feel that I was doing a great job at work, I put a half an hour at lunchtime, and I said, I'm going to read a book. And I'll sit there, and the boss will come in, and I'm reading, some .NET book. What are you doing? I'm becoming a better programmer for the company, sir. Well, keep it up, Scott. Well, thank you. I will. I'm on Codecademy right now, becoming a better programmer. Remember, though, that you can't be simultaneously current on all of these different things. You can't be the best programmer and the best pop culture person and know who's winning on X Factor and know about all the latest diet trends. But there's always someone who will be. There's always someone who is unhealthy. How can we use their unhealthiness, their obsession, to work for us? Well, what you do is you let them be the ones that are up to date on all of these things. Let someone else guide you. If you have to go and do something like learn Python, separate out the things that you need to know. Ask a Python expert, what do I need to know? Not everything, just the need to. And then decide, am I going to draw the line at need to know, or maybe I'll just draw it at nice to know? The problem is we tell ourselves we need to know Python, including all edge cases and completely useless trivia. Useless trivia is what the internet's for. You just need to decide, is it going to be need to, should know, or nice to know? Find someone else who is doing this work for you. Go through your news feeds and audit them. Delete blogs, because you're just setting up a guilt system. If your Google Reader says 1,000 plus, mark all as read. It's not going to happen. If you have 1,000 emails in your inbox, go from a week ago and then just delete everything or move them all into a folder. Declare email bankruptcy. I'm not saying delete them, but just, Control A and then move them into a folder that says not my inbox. And then you'll have a clear inbox for the first time in your life. And it's going to be amazing. And then start sorting from there. Find someone who is good at this. So what I do is I find some blogs where someone else is reading everything that they want to read. This is one website called Boing Boing. It's wonderful things. The Verge. I don't read 15 technology blogs anymore. I read The Verge because they have a team of 30 people that are finding the cool stuff. I read Lifehacker. Find that aggregator. Find that person who does read 1,000 blogs. There's a really great blog by a guy named Chris Alcock called The Morning Brew. Anyone read The Morning Brew? First blog that I read in the morning. Because he reads like 1,000 .NET blogs. The man is sick. I don't have to now. He's a robot, therefore I don't have to be a robot. So I went from being a Google Reader guy to being a guy with a couple of bookmarks. And I just open a couple of tabs in the morning and everything's okay. And I like reading this stuff. I will send this information to Instapaper. Anyone use Instapaper or Read It Later or Pocket? I'm going to talk a little bit about this. These are great because I want to utilize idle time. If I have time that's not being used, I want to use that, right? Isn't it great how innovative things have become before the iPhone and after the iPhone? I think that's really great. For me, the iPhone has completely changed the way that I poop. I don't know what we did in there before. But I read technical blogs, and that makes it really useful time. So some tools that we can do to deal with that. We can find some tools that will help to make our idle time more useful. We're going to find the right tools for the job. First thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to cut things out of our life. Because you can't cut something if you aren't measuring first. You can't say, well, I'm going to throw this out. I don't know if it was useful time or not. There's a really great application called Rescue Time. Rescue Time sits in the background and it watches what you're doing. And it sends you a report of what window was in front, categorized. So here is very distracting time by hour. And look at me here, 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. I'm reading The Guardian, I'm reading news. And it's categorized as very distracting. Here is very productive time by day. I'm working in Outlook, I'm doing command prompt stuff. You can see now what happened on Monday here. Why was I not doing any productive work on Monday? Turns out I was in the hospital because my appendix burst. Why am I kind of productive on Tuesday? Well, that's because I'm an idiot and I took my laptop to the hospital. So this is me checking email from my hospital bed. Turns out if they cut your appendix out and then you put a really warm, hot laptop on your tummy, it really hurts. So don't do that. Rescue Time is a really great way to keep track of things like that. Sometimes, though, there's physical things. There's like a ticket. Someone will send you a ticket or a coupon or a bill to pay, and you can't put that in Evernote. You could scan it or whatever, but you really need the physical paper. So we use a thing that's called 43 folders. This is amazing technology. Rather than a whole cabinet full of stuff and papers all over my desk, I get 43 folders, 12 that are labeled the months, and 31 that are the days. So this is what, October 5th, right? Is that correct? So I would have 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up through 31, and then the next one would be November, December, and it would be a circular buffer. So if I got a ticket to come to a conference in next March, I would just take that ticket and I put it into March. And the psychic weight is released. I don't even know where it is anymore. I just know that it's in the system. And then at the end of the month, I just keep moving my days and then my months. And then one day I open up March and I go, look at that ticket. Oh, I forgot all about that. And here it has come into my life again. Just with 43 folders. And it ends up being about this big. And then you go and you get like a little tiny briefcase and boom. That's my whole filing system. It's yummy. Sometimes I get really stressed out, so I sync to paper. You guys know about the trick of syncing to paper? This is a really great PDA because it has no batteries. Never runs out, and I can use it on the airplane. I even have like multi-touch. I just go like this. When you get really, really stressed out, and you think to yourself, you know, I would not be stressed out if I only had a Retina display, because Retina display has more dots per inch. It has like 200 dots per inch. Well, my laser printer has 300 dots per inch. So I just print stuff out. And you know what you can do to multiply your resolution? This is like 10,000 pixels wide. When you're really stressed out and you feel like you need to get the big picture, write some stuff down. Why do you think database people and or architects print out things and put them up on the wall? Because a 10-inch view on the world is too small. Sometimes you just need to put it on paper and back up and see the big picture, and you will feel better. And I do that all the time. Best thing, it's really, really cheap. Any Evernote people? Evernote? Evernote's wonderful. Talk to your friends that raised their hands. Evernote is great. Also, I use OneNote. I switched from Evernote to OneNote because it's got an iPhone version now. So I can have it on my iPad and my iPhone and my Windows system. It's on Windows Phone. So OneNote or Evernote, doesn't matter which one you pick. The point is, you put your note in one place and it's anywhere. Trusted system. I use things like Workflowy, which is great for managing large outlines of things. I've even started putting together a Kanban board for my life. So I actually ended up taking my to-do.txt file, and I just keep track of the things I need to do here. I got my blog posts. Here we go, upgrade to Windows 8. I'm running my life like a Scrum, and it works really well. It's very lightweight. That's why we went to the Scrum system, didn't we? Because it's lightweight. Now, to the bathroom. Are you this person? Yeah. Isn't that funny? Turns out that opening a new tab doesn't mean I'm going to read it later. Opening a new tab means I don't care about my system's memory, and I don't really care about this link because I'm never going to go and look at it again. But they put restore all tabs into Google Chrome as a feature, so when you reboot and finally crash, you can open up all 43 again. Seriously, open up Task Manager and ask yourself, do all my processors need to be running Google Chrome? When you open up these tabs, what you're really saying is, I want to read this later. That's what you're saying. That's different. Having things open for reference for a project you're working on is different from, wow, interesting article about we should be eating more apples. I'm going to read that. Am I going to open that in a new tab and let the flash player on the ads on that tab use up CPU in the background? No, I want to read it later. So I use a thing called Instapaper. I've got a little read it later button in my toolbar there, and I just click read it later. Here's the best part. Does anyone have a Kindle or an e-reader or anything like that? Or you've got Kindle on your phone? Turns out at the end of the week, they will mail you a book automatically of everything you wanted to read all week. Imagine getting like a personal newspaper of all the really cool stuff that you care about that you've been collecting all week, shows up on Friday. That's Instapaper. It's fantastic. It adds something. Browsing is fun, email is fun, but there was never really a gesture for read it later. Go do your email filters like I talked about. Consider using things like if this, then that, which is a great workflow system. You can go and build workflows like if I put a new photo on Instagram, then put it in my Dropbox. Or if I tweet something, put it on my Facebook. Any kind of workflow that you want. Use Dropbox. I don't even worry about this laptop crashing. Everything's in Dropbox. Here's the thing, guys. If it's not helping me, now this guy said make money. I think that's a little selfish. I'm going to blank that out. If it's not helping me to achieve my goal, spend time with my kids, become a better programmer, become a manager at my job, whatever your goal is, if it's not helping you blank, it's mental clutter and throw it out. Audit the things in your life that you're doing. That means friends too. And if they're not getting you where you need to go, throw them out. So here's your homework, and I'm almost done. I'm running 30 seconds over. Go through and audit your sources. Start scheduling work sprints. Turn off distractions. Fred is online, and a little piece of toast pops up. Oh, he's online. Thank you. That was so important that you had to pop up and tell me. Turn off email notifications, turn off Skype notifications, turn off chat notifications. There's nothing that could pop up that is so important that it needs to keep you away from your focus. Look at your inbox. Think about being efficient. Think about being effective. Look at your personal toolbox, and that is all my time. Thank you guys very much for letting me talk to you today.